Welcome to the Byron and Pace show.
Yeah. This is Sandstone Stories, episode 1.
This is going to be so good. So a bit of clarification about what this podcast is. To be honest, it's just me and Pace taking the piss, having some fun. We both moved into this space we've called Sandstone Studios. We've got the podcasting set up. I've got my own podcast. You've got your own podcast. We figured let's just do some fun stories on the weekend. The concept of Sandstone Stories is pretty simple. Did you want to explain it?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're still figuring it out and it may change. But basically, each week or each episode, Byron and I come to the table with 5 stories.
Yeah.
Now, these can be like stories about a celebrity, crazy stories about history, experiments, things that are just like, shocking, but not all of them are true.
They're either going to be bullshit or true.
Yeah. So the idea is that like, it's going to be fun, but it's also going to be something that like we'll learn a bunch of crazy shit from.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned so much from TikTok just through like crazy stories.
Yeah.
It's like, did you know this? Did you know this? And you're like, whoa. And so I guess the goal for this is to first of all have fun, but also as a listener, figure out if it's true or not. So I think for me and you, as I was preparing for these stories, it's really hard to come up with a rock solid fake story.
Totally. I think we'll get better at it.
Oh, for sure. And it was really stretching me creatively. I was like, oh man. Because I was Googling all these real ones and they were so well written. I'm like, he's going to see straight through my fake ones. So,
right. And it's like how much detail? Because if you give too much detail, then it's like, why, it's like you're trying too hard. Yeah, no, this is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
And we're going to be putting out a lot of content on TikTok, which is probably where you've come from if you're listening to the episode.
Yeah.
To be honest, this is more a TikTok show than a real podcast.
Because I mean, TikTok is a huge thing for both of us. So yeah, let's pop a bottle.
Oh yeah, so we got
pour a glass.
Got the whiskey here.
Yeah. What are we drinking?
We got the this is your one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Glenlivet.
Glenlivet. You got this for my birthday, didn't you? I think I've got one.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's so nice.
It's one of my favorites.
So yeah, this is not the usual podcasting setup for anyone who's watching. But did you want to do your first story? Who wants to go first?
All right, I'll go first. So, do you know the most successful pirate ever?
No.
Okay, so her name is Qing Shi, aka Madame Qing. She is a Chinese pirate. She was famous in like the early 1800s, right? And she was a prostitute from Guangzhou. I'm going to butcher these Chinese names, by the way. I'll try my best. Famous for her use of pillow talk and like influencing powerful men, and also like apparently had incredible business skills. Like was like started as a prostitute, ended up like running the brothel, and she had like all these people working for her. And at the time, there's this pirate called Zhang Yi, who like was like, had, I guess he was kind of like a client, but also respected her so much because of her business skill and stuff like that. They sparked up a relationship and they decided to get married when she was 26. And he had this like fleet of pirates and stuff like that, but he died. Apparently he fell overboard, but but like, who knows? She ended up taking over his fleet, marrying his adopted son to like consolidate her leadership and then growing her like pirate empire to the point where at one point she was the commander of the Guangdong Pirate Confederation. She commanded like 400 ships, 60,000 pirates. How fucked is that? 60,000. And like, you think of pirates in the Caribbean, you've got like 2 ships or whatever and like 40 pirates. And the best part is she legitimately lived happily ever after. Because I think it was the Qing government, Qing dynasty, I don't know exactly how that works, but she made a deal with them because they couldn't afford to keep fighting her.
Right, she's so powerful.
So like she got amnesty from all of her crimes. She retired with her husband and like got paid out, and she ran a gambling house in the city, and she is the most successful pirate of all time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what a girl boss.
Yeah, what a girl boss.
The original
girl boss.
Yeah.
So, true or false?
It's got to be true. There's no way you made that up.
It's true. I mean, it's history, so like who knows, but yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
true. How sick is that?
It's very Game of Thrones vibes.
Totally.
The way she like manipulated men who probably like completely underestimated her.
Like I'm waiting for the movie or the TV show.
Well, there's a Chinese pirate in Pirates of the Caribbean. I wouldn't be surprised if they've referenced her.
When I was reading up on it, apparently that character is based on this.
As soon as you said her name, that's who I thought of. That's what I visualized in my head.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good one.
So sick.
Yeah.
So
I've got a lot of history ones as well because there's so much crazy stuff that's happened in history. Actually, this is a history one.
All right.
I'll do a history one. Okay.
Bullshit.
All right. So this is The woman who gave birth to rabbits.
Okay, I'm listening.
So the woman who gave birth to rabbits. In 1726, a woman named Mary Toff gave birth to something that looked like cat intestines. When a local doctor arrived at her home, he helped her deliver several cat legs along with 9 dead baby rabbits came out of her.
Yep.
Baffled, the doctor wrote to experts in London, and soon word began to spread about this incredible story. Not long after, the king found out and sent his private doctor, he's like one of the best in the world, to go investigate this. And when he rocked up, the day he rocked up, she gave birth to her 15th rabbit.
Okay.
They believed she had been startled by a rabbit while pregnant, hence why she was giving birth to bunnies. This theory was called maternal impression. It was determined that rabbit lungs developed inside Mary's womb.
Yeah.
Crazier still, after she delivered half the rabbit, someone noticed the animal had been cut in 2 with a knife. Still, the king's doctor was convinced that Toft was a baby bunny mama, and he brought her to London for closer examination. Upon her arrival, Toft became the talk of the town. People flocked to see the legendary mother, and her story was covered by major newspapers. But once she was in London, Toft stopped magically giving birth.
Oh, shit.
As if that wasn't suspicious enough, a servant was caught sneaking a rabbit into her room. The final end of the story. After one doctor threatened to perform surgery on her, Toft confessed it was all a hoax, hoping to earn money in freak shows and scam a few prominent doctors on the side. Toft had been shoving the rabbits inside her vagina and then pushing them out. So please do not think of trying this at home.
Oh my God. I mean, I was going to say, if you ended it at like, without the reveal, I was going to say it's complete bullshit. But as in like the story, as in like, I don't believe that
Yeah.
could happen. But the story is real.
It's real.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Imagine that.
Bro.
Get shoving rabbits in your hoo-ha.
9.
For attention.
9.
At once?
Well, she gave birth to 9. Well, a doctor was there. So it's not like she...
Who are these doctors?
Well, I mean, it's 1700s.
I guess.
So
they're more like witch doctors. Like,
I mean, yeah, they probably... was when were witches around? Or when did they think witches were around?
The weird thing for me is that I would have assumed that she would have just been like executed or like... You know what I mean? Because people in those days were so suspicious and scared.
Right.
As if she would have been like the king's doctor come to like see her. They would have just been like...
well, I think it was the 1700s and not the 1500s. So I think it was that sweet spot of they didn't believe in full witches and everything at that point. I don't know where witches fit in the timeline. But yeah, if it was like the 1500s, I probably would have been like, witch,
gone.
Burn her at the stake.
Yeah.
Which is what they did back then.
Gnarly.
So yeah, that's a similar history one, but
another girl boss, arguably.
Another girl boss, yeah.
All right. Now this one you may have heard of, but it's an incredible story anyway.
Regardless.
Have you ever heard of the Stanford Prison Experiment?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, so this is like one of the most famous ever psychological experiments ever run from Stanford University, and it actually it gets taught like now in every like 101 psychology curriculum. It gets taught. So Professor Philip Zimbardo, he set up this experiment and he wanted to see the psychological impact on being an inmate versus being a guard. So like how power and structures like impact your actions as a human and how quickly that happens and like becoming institutionalized. So he set up this experiment, like 12 guards, 12 inmates. And so like what happened is the first day the inmates were like arrested. So they were out and like they got arrested by the guards and driven back to the fake prison. They were then like strip searched. They were given numbers instead of names. They were given like inmate clothes and stuff like that. They were told their crimes like armed robbery, and they were basically like dressed down. They were treated like prisoners, and then they were put in tiny little rooms with like a bed and like nothing much else. So that's day one. Day two, prisoners rebel. Day two. It's like 2:30 in the morning. The guards apparently have been kind of told to like treat them like prisoners. And they've been taking a little bit of liberty. They've been like banging on the doors and shit like that and waking them up, keeping them up at all hours of the day. So the prisoners rebel. They like refuse to eat. They rip off their inmate tags. They're like swearing at the guards and shit like that. So the guards remove all the prisoners' clothes, remove mattresses, and put the main instigators, in solitary confinement. And then day three, what they would do is they would like make them randomly do push-ups and just, like Guantanamo Bay. They essentially just like day three turned into basically just like doing whatever the fuck they wanted to with these inmates. And like day 4, the prisoners started to like divide based on the good ones and bad ones. And they started to want to be alone because they didn't want to be seen to be like talking to or collaborating with any other inmates because they didn't trust the other inmates and how they would behave. So they like started to like dob on each other. They started to like,
because they knew they'd get rewarded.
yeah, exactly. Day 5 was like the visiting day where the like family and friends would come to visit, and they came to visit. All the families were like, this is fucked. Like these people aren't eating. They're like isolated. One of the prisoners has already gone home because he started rage screaming and had a mental breakdown. And they were like, okay, you can leave. One of the colleagues of the professor came and inspected the place, and he was like, you've gone absolutely mad. Like the professor was the superintendent. So he was like overseeing the prison. And she was like, I'm reporting this to the ethics committee or whatever. And then on day 6, they canceled the study. And it's just like, it took basically 3 days to become completely institutionalized. And there's like videos of the whole thing. Yeah, it was this huge controversy, but it did actually change the way that prisons were run in the US. That's like one of the only positive things that came out of it. Obviously, it's an interesting study, but it changed the way that inmates were treated, and especially younger inmates were treated. And what the experiment found was that it's not actually, the individual doesn't have very much to play. It's actually the systems and structures that they find themselves in that like dictate how you act in that situation.
Yeah. Well, that's true, right?
Yeah, it's
that's true. Have you seen The Platform?
Mm-mm.
I would guess that The Platform is it's a Netflix show.
Yeah.
In some other country it's subtitled, but it would be based on that concept. Basically, people agree to sign up to this. There's a few different people. There's either people serve time by going here and they can do like 1 year service.
Like criminal.
Yeah, they can get absolved.
Yeah.
Or they go there to get benefits, like to get into a university or to do something. And so the character we're following went in there for benefits. And he signed, he said, I agree to this. Basically, the concept of there's like 250 platforms and there's 2 people on each platform and there's a big hole in the middle. And every single morning, it's all like level 1 all the way down to level 200. You can look down the hole and see all the way down.
Wow, okay.
And they get like a bed and they get 1 item each. And then every single day, there's a plate of food that goes down the middle. And you get to eat as much as you want. So the people at top, they pig out. Then blah, 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 blah. Once you get to about level 50, there's nothing left. And you spend 30 days on each level and then you rotate. And so if you're level like 80 or like 100, you go 30 days with no food.
Drink? Water?
Yeah, they give water.
Okay.
So there's like cannibalism. They like start eating each other.
Oh, they're all on the same platform?
No, they're all on the same area, but different platforms. So there's 2 people on each platform.
Okay, all right.
So it goes all the way down. And yeah, basically the whole concept is there's enough food for everyone. So if they divided and shared, there's enough food for everyone. But the thing is, you're at level 85, you got no food. You go to level 9, you're going to pig out. You don't care because you're survival.
Yeah.
And it's super interesting. It's like very psychological, but it's a similar thing. They signed up to it, but then they went.
Is it terrifying? And it's like, how quickly does do like all societal like norms and like human decency get stripped away in those situations? It's like when COVID happened, it's like, literally it took a couple of days before people were fighting in supermarkets.
Toilet paper.
Yeah.
No, before as the lockdown were announced, the day it was announced, people were going
like society is held up by such a thin like veneer.
My sister actually did for her PIP, which is her big project for society and culture in high school. She did Japan versus like other Western cultures and how the toilet paper crisis.
Yeah.
Because Japan is very much, what's it called? They're very communal. They work as a unit, whereas we're very individualistic.
Yeah.
And so Japan, if you see on the train stations, they're all walking up one side and everyone comes down the other.
Yeah.
And so there'll be like everyone packed this one side. No one goes up the other side because that's respect.
Have you seen those Japanese, like at concerts and stuff, everyone in Japan jumps at the same time and they all like clap at the same time? It's incredible.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a super interesting one. I got another good one here.
Sure you do.
I'm going to skip to this one.
Okay.
Toy Story 2.
Oh yeah? Have seen it? Maybe.
You've seen it.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah.
With the claw?
Yeah.
Okay.
So animation, of course.
Yeah.
So did you know that Toy Story 2 almost never happened? Here's what happened.
Okay.
So during the animation or the filming, I guess, animating of Toy Story 2, the main studio that housed all the main animators who were building it out was broken into one day by a bunch of young kids. They broke into it and they managed to copy like 90% of the movie onto a hard drive so that they could distribute it onto the black market and like make a shit ton of money. And basically it would have cost Disney like hundreds of millions of dollars because the movie would have been out before cinemas.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, this is back in like 2001. So the internet was a very new thing. And they didn't know this at the time. They had no idea it had happened.
They didn't know they'd stolen it?
Yeah, they had no idea.
Okay.
They got away with it.
Okay.
They had no idea. And so their plan was to sell it on the black market to the highest bidder. But crazy enough, and this is the best part, the studio animating Toy Story accidentally deleted the entire movie. Some guy in the back end hit the wrong code and it started deleting and like slow motion, and the animators started seeing Woody's hat disappear. Then his boots were disappearing. And they were like, no, they pulled the plug. And they're like, okay, it's okay. We got the backups. The backups failed. The backups failed. I swear to God.
Okay.
The backups failed.
Right. Yeah.
As this news began to spread, rather than selling on the black market, the boys reached out to Disney.
No.
They sold the movie back to Disney.
No.
They sold the movie back to Disney for $10 million. But Disney had every right to fight it, but they just needed the movie back. And for $10 million, they were going to make hundreds of millions of Toy Story 2. It was a sequel. So they paid $10 million for it, and then the movie got recovered.
That's complete horseshit.
Is that your answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes!
Do you know the real story?
All right, go on.
That was the real story. Here's the real story. Everything I said about them deleting it was true.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy accidentally deleted the back-end code, deleted the entire movie, no backups. Everything was wiped.
Yeah.
But there was a woman on maternity leave who was working from home, and she had the whole file
Work
there.
from home.
Yeah.
Another great advertisement for work from
Bro,
home.
she recovered the entire thing because this woman was on maternity leave, like doing some edits from home.
Another girl boss.
That's insane.
Another girl boss.
Another girl boss.
Yeah.
You're right. Far out.
That's so mad. Good story.
Yeah, it's a good one, eh?
Good story. Okay. All right. Here we go. Do you know Angelina Jolie?
I'm aware.
Do you know Billy Bob Thornton?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know that they were married at one time.
Yes, before Brad Pitt.
So Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton had one of the weirdest marriages in like celebrity history, or at least modern celebrity history. So they got married in 2000. She was like in her 20s, early 20s, I think. He was in his late 40s, maybe 50 years old, already like, stretching the boundaries. Apparently they installed a padded room in their house so that people couldn't hear their crazy and wild sex, which is mad. They bragged about showing up to an award show famously. Like when they got there, after they were like, yeah, we just banged in the limo and then they were like making out in front of all the cameras and stuff like that. So like they were obviously, pretty intimate, pretty full on.
Mm.
They used to wear each other's underwear, which is, whatever. People do that.
Sure.
It sounds fun. But the most fucked thing is they wore vials of each other's blood around their neck so that when they weren't together, they would like feel closer to each other.
Mm.
And like, even though the marriage only lasted 3 years, it was like one of the more gnarly things in Hollywood.
Oh, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with bullshit.
It's 100% true.
Oh, yes! I thought you may have taken it and stretched it. I thought you may have gone, they've got an extreme marriage. And like, that's what I did with the Toy Story.
Yeah.
I took an original story and like manipulated it into my own story.
Yeah.
Damn it.
There was more stuff apparently that they did. They would like cut each other's lips and then like make out and shit like that.
Far out.
Yeah.
That's hardcore.
I mean, this is like entertainment news. So
yeah.
it could be horseshit, but apparently it's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense. I rate the quiet sex room. I rate that.
I'm sure they're not the only ones. All right, your turn. Yes, that means I'm winning.
Yeah, you're winning.
1-0.
All right, here we go. Oof, this is an intense one. This is a bit of a different tone. Have you heard of the story of Putty Caves?
Okay, this is insane. One of my best friends literally 2 days ago sent me a picture of like the guy from this story and he like explained the whole story to me 2 days ago.
No.
Yes.
Should I explain it?
Yeah, please do. Because I don't think I know everything. Okay. Because I was like, I responded back to him. I was like, bro, this sounds wrong. Like it sounds fake.
It's like a horror movie.
It sounds like a fake horror story. Like whatever.
So basically, this guy, John Jones, was his name.
Yeah, sure it was. It's John Jones.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like the most horrifying thing that could ever happen.
Yeah.
So you know, caving. It's like, I don't know. There must be psychotic people who like incredibly claustrophobic, where you're like moving, like shuffling your body like a worm to get through these spots. So people love it. Yeah. And it's like a whole sport. And so Putty Caves is famous because John Jones went in one day and he was going down. He was about 120 meters down. So you're very far deep into it now. And he mistook a turnoff because you don't know where you're going. It's not like Google Maps is there. He mistook a turnoff for the wrong place. It's supposed to be called the birth canal. And he went into a little part and basically he had to suck in his gut to get over it. And then he slipped forward and fell in and he was stuck. And it was like, what is it? He was 120 centimeters. Oh no, it was 25 by 46 centimeters.
25 by 46 centimeters. The width.
Yes. And
my God.
he was 120 meters down from the cave's entrance and he was stuck there. Now, his friend was there.
Uh-huh.
And his friend was like trying to pull him up. But as soon as he started pulling him, he couldn't get back over that lip that he had sucked in. So he started pulling him back up and he couldn't get it. And so they were kind of communicating. And so the thing is, it took him 2 to 3 hours to get up and call for help. And so by the time they got help, firefighters came, everyone came. They used explosives. They used pulley systems. They did everything. The first time they went down, they used a pulley system. They tried it. It didn't work. It took them 3 hours to go back up, come up with another plan. They're now like 15 hours in and this guy's been stuck here for like...
Is it like pitch black?
Pitch black,
Oh my God.
15 hours. He's just stuck there. He can't move.
Oh my God.
He ended up being there for 28 hours. 28 hours he was stuck like that.
Could you imagine?
One of the most horrible things. And he never got out.
That's so fucked.
28
It's
hours.
So fucked.
28 hours and then he died from cardiac arrest.
You know what I heard? That in the end, all they could do was inject him with drugs to like kind of like make him
Right.
not feel so like insanely claustrophobic and like calm him
Yeah.
down basically.
Do you know what the worst part was?
What's the worst part?
In the pulley, during the second, or like one of the pulley systems where they had an expert down there, they had him. They were pulling it and they had him and the rope broke. That was it.
How?
I don't know. I don't know, bro.
Like, surely, even if it's going to break every bone in his body, you just yank the thing and get him out of there. Like,
But he has to like move his bone. Like, I don't know. It's just, I watched the whole, I actually watched a documentary on this like a few months ago on YouTube. Super chilling, super freaky. And they couldn't even get his body. So he's still in there.
how does that make any sense?
He's still in there today. His bones are in there.
Literally, you could like rip his legs off and pull him out and be like,
Well,
all
he's
right,
a-
you got no legs, but at least you're alive.
While he's awake, like I don't know. The issue was he was 120 meters down and they needed caving experts to go down. So it took them so long just to get down there.
yeah.
So
Fuck that.
yeah, that's a bit of a darker one, but man,
Yeah, it's true.
far out.
Apparently it's true.
I did not caving, but I went to it was like a tourist attraction somewhere in Australia. I
Do you know
forget.
caves?
Something, no, maybe it was. And
Yeah.
it was like, there was some tight squeezes.
Yeah.
And we also we did proper caving in New Zealand where we like abseiled down to this like insane like glowworms cave and it was
Yeah.
water and stuff. And there were like little caves. They said, if you want to squeeze through here, you can. And I did it and it was like super scary and I got through. And that was just like 30 seconds. And I was like, far out.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
No,
So
thank
yeah.
you. Oh my God. It's like that movie. Who is it? The guy
James
that gets
Franco.
James Franco gets
127 hours.
But like instead of like you're outside, you're upside down.
Yeah.
In a hole.
And there's nothing you can do.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You don't want to think about it too much. But yeah, I mean, I guess, that's real because you already heard the story. But yeah, it's a
Yeah.
real one.
Dear.
One more each?
Yeah. All right. So very topical. Today, you and I are going to go and see James Bond, the new James Bond film,
Yeah.
at the cinema. And I was reading up on it. And do you know the inspiration behind the character James Bond?
I know Fleming went to a bar. I heard it, but I don't know.
Okay, so he pieced it together from a couple of different people. He was actually in the Naval Intelligence in World War II. Ian Fleming wrote the book in 1953, right?
Yeah.
He was in World War II in the Naval Intelligence and he kind of had colleagues and stuff that inspired him for the story. But the actual James C. Bond guy who's like, I guess the main inspiration who he took the name from was a Welsh orphan, won a scholarship to Cambridge, eventually like all the British Secret Service people come from like Cambridge or Oxford, at least historically. That's where they get like chatted up by like old dudes in clubs and like recruited. So went to Cambridge, eventually ended up being recruited by the British Secret Service, MI6. He became famous in the service because on one of his missions in the 1930s,
The real James Bond.
the real James C. Bond, Bond, he literally stole a Bentley in London because he needed it because the target he was following got onto a train that he missed. Like the guy just got on as he got to the station. So he's like, shit, I know where this train is going. I need to follow the target. So he ran into the car park and he stole a Bentley. And they let him keep the Bentley for like 6 months before eventually he got reported. Like he didn't get reported, but like someone, like enough people made a complaint about the fact that he had to hand it back in. But the reason they let him keep it is because it was easier to explain to the owner, the original owner and the insurance company, like that the thing had just been stolen rather than handing it back because it was like a mission for
Insane
MI6.
story.
So they were just like, we'll just say, like we won't say anything, just let the insurance company handle it. The insurance company actually ended up
Suing?
replacing the car because they never found it. Because how are you
Right.
going to find a fucking guy from the secret agency that
Yeah.
the MI6 don't want you to find? So like he never knew, the insurance company never knew, and he kept this car for like 6 months before eventually handing it back in. And that's where like Ian Fleming got the idea for like having the cars. And in the original James Bond, it's actually Bentley's, not Aston Martin's. And then I think they're like some brand deal or sponsorship deal, and ended up being Aston Martin's in the future.
So Aston Martin obviously got into Bond pretty early on. They locked in their deal for 50 years.
50 years. Genius.
Which means genius, which means that no one's been able to compete. That's why they've dominated for so long. You'd think they must be paying tens of millions to have Aston Martin and Bond. 50 million plus, you would think, for the new Bond movies.
Yeah.
Nah, they locked in the deal in like 1970.
That's so amazing. And James Bond has been, is it like the longest movie franchise ever?
Do you know what?
What?
It was bullshit.
It was complete bullshit.
Got him.
Good story though.
No. I mean, my Aston Martin thing was bullshit.
But what?
I just made it up on the cuff.
Fuck. Because my story was bullshit as well.
I know. Well, I didn't know, but I guess.
Yeah.
It was good though. I was gonna say it was real because it was just enough.
Yeah.
It was just enough to like almost get me.
Thank you.
Well, is it a real story? Or you just made it
I
completely
just
up?
made it up.
Fire.
Ian Fleming was in the Naval Intelligence in World War II.
And there's no real James Bond.
They don't think so.
James C. Bond, cheeky. No, but I made up the Aston Martin thing as well.
Fuck.
Got him.
2-1 then.
Yeah. All right, we'll end on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Did you know
Okay.
you could have gay sex in the Roman army so long as you were on top?
Is there a story or is that?
Yeah. No, let me explain. So gay sex back in ancient Rome, not only was it easy to come by,
Yeah.
but it was an accepted part of being Roman,
Okay.
especially in the army. It was very accepted in the army.
Yeah.
They didn't see gay as being bad or sinful, but they didn't exactly admire it as well.
Mm-hmm.
The way they viewed it in Roman, they didn't really see sexuality as a spectrum. It was more like dominant and not dominant, and they respected someone who's dominant. And so instead they focused their prejudice on the submissive or feminine or the bottom as gay relationships. Meanwhile, they champion the dominant on top or the person doing the fucking.
How is that ever going to work? Like, the only way I can see that working is if you daisy chain it. So like,
Yeah, because someone has to be
one
a
guy
bottom.
to the next, and then there's one person who's the bottom, and then everyone else is clear.
And it's all down to the important role of class and slaves in Roman society, because it was
Right.
perfectly acceptable for a Roman man to have sex with either a man or woman so long as he was on top.
So like the richer, more noble Romans would have sex with the
Yeah.
lower classes. And
Or am I bullshitting?
the thing is, I've heard about this, but I didn't think it was Romans. I thought it was a different culture. So I'm going to say bullshit. It's not
true.
Romans.
Damn it!
I thought it was Vikings. I
It's
saw
true.
a video about this being
It's
Vikings.
true. This is an article. Apparently, they didn't really care about the sexuality so long as you were the dominant one.
Yeah.
The thing is, I mean, I guess there's always going to be more dominant people in the army. And
Sure.
so there were people who would probably be willing to. This is a double hitter though.
Okay. All right.
This is a double hitter.
No, you can't get 2 points out of
No,
one.
it's the same
story.
one.
All right.
Same one. All right, this doesn't count for points. Actually,
Okay.
no, screw it. This is a double hitter. It was very common for Roman soldiers to have large orgies of 50 to 200 people the night before battle.
Okay.
Their logic was, as I mentioned, being gay wasn't seen as sinful like it, I guess, was in, 1,000 years later. But the orgies, people believe the orgies were the reasons that the Romans were closer and fought so well as a unit.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because fighting side by side with someone you had sex with the night before created a stronger bond than any other army and could be the reason Romans dominated so many battles throughout history, even when they were severely outnumbered.
That's amazing.
Now, that's just a theory from people.
Yeah.
Is it true or false?
Oh my God, I hate you. You're fighting with your bang bros. I reckon it's true.
False!
No!
Got him! So, now here's what I will say. I could be wrong here. So basically, I heard this story from someone, but I researched it and I couldn't find any evidence that they had orgies.
Yeah.
They had, small orgies to richer people, but not soldiers, especially not before death. I could be wrong, but there we go.
Oh man, I wanted that to be true so badly.
Same, I thought it was such a
like-
cool story.
Yeah, just
It
like an
makes sense,
army
though.
of dudes that have just fucked each other.
Yeah.
And then the next day they're like, all right,
Yeah.
we got this.
I know, that's why that was such a good one.
Oh man.
4-1.
Damn it.
Man.
What?
Wasn't it?
No.
3-1.
3-2.
What was your double?
I mean, I had revealed the James Bond one before you gave your answer because you came in with this
'cause
bullshit.
I said bullshit
fake
on
story.
the yeah.
So you lost your point there anyway because you said it was believable.
Yeah, but I didn't get a chance to even have a go at it.
Yeah, well, too bad.
That was my miscommunication. So what, 3-2?
If you're going to count, you get 2 out of 1 story.
Well, I mean, it's 2 separate stories. They just linked in.
All right, man, whatever, you win. Fair is fair.
Good boy.
All right. Here ends the first episode of Sandstone Stories.
That was a longer one.
Yeah.
Hopefully people enjoy it. And I think if anyone listens to this, that being said, my most downloaded episode is episode 1 on my podcast.
Right.
It's over 12,000 downloads.
Yeah.
Yeah, people will probably come back and listen to it. If you do, send us your stories.
Yes. Also, if you happen to be a book publisher or a whiskey distiller, get in contact.
Yeah, we're putting brand names, books, all in the videos or TikToks and stuff. But yeah, we're not going to say what whiskey we're drinking. Wait, do we say it? I think
We already said Glenlivet 12.
Yeah, oh well, they got a free one.
Also, if you are listening, do us a favor and throw us a follow on whatever it is, Instagram, and you probably found us on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the reviews on like Spotify and stuff, it probably takes like 30 seconds to a minute. But it legitimately, if you get ranked early on when you're making a podcast, it makes the whole thing like so much better. So if you could do that, and then if you want to send me a DM, I will send you a personal thank you song.
Same. Oh, I won't do that. I'll just say, I'll send you a personal thank you something.
It might not be a good song, but it'll be a song.
But yeah, also send us your videos and send it individually to me or Pace.
Yeah, if you have stories. If you have
because
crazy
we don't want to
stories.
see them. Like this is legit. We're not faking or acting here. I didn't know this. Well, you knew the party one, but that was a
But
coincidence.
I told you, yeah.
The Toy Story one, I specifically didn't tell him.
All week we've been like, oh, do you know that thing? Oh, wait, I'll tell you on the
we want to save it.
show.
So send us privately your story, whether you want me to say it or Pace to say it. And if it's fake, great. Send us a story. Tell us if it's fake or if it's real, and we'll put it out.
We could even play the recording if you want to. If you want to tell the story like in an audio message or something.
Yeah, send us an audio. We'll play it. Through our Roadcaster Pro here.
Yes.
But anyways, that's it for the Byron and Pace podcast. This was the Sandstone Stories. Make sure you follow us online. But yeah, join us in episode 2 whenever that comes out.
Shit, yeah. All right. Nice.